before I go on this rant. You can ask a million people what it means. You can see an angel number and you can Google 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different excuses, 9 different meanings of that angel number. What does it mean? The one that you accept is true? It will always mean what you believe, what you accept as the truth. All right, so here we go. You are not reduced to what the world says you are. The world is expanded by what you reveal yourself to be. Thus, to live awakened is to see the world not as your master, but as your mirror, forever reshaping itself to match the truth you dare to embody. Okay, so let's talk about this. And this is going to tie into that type of question, right? Well, what do I do? What do I do if this person is showing up the way that I don't want them to show up? What do I do if I want this apartment? What do I do if I want that money? What do I do if I want this or that or that or this? Remember, everything is the same. It all exists in consciousness. There's nothing outside of consciousness. Let's play a little game before we start. Let's play a little game. Right now, I want you to imagine yourself lit up by a bright, glowing light. Let's call this light God, Spirit, all that there is, the fabric of reality. So right now, you are illuminated by this glowing light. Okay. When you walk into the room, all this light that is you, right? It spills out of you and it begins to animate everything around you. All the people around you, they get animated by this light within you. All the circumstances that you walk into, it's animated by this light within you. Now, this light is the fullness, the wholeness of God. But also within this light, because it's the fullness and the wholeness of God, you get to choose whatever you want from the kingdom. Because remember, the kingdom is within you. So let's make another concession. Let's call this glowing light the kingdom. Okay? So now you get to choose whatever you want to be. You get to decide, I am the person that I desire to be. I am the person who is loved. I'm the person who is supported. I'm the person that is money, that is prosperity. You get to hold these assumptions. And when you walk through life, that light, that kingdom that is you, flows and spills outside of you, and it animates everything. You walk in the room, doesn't matter what the situation looks like. I am that which I decide that I am. Doesn't matter what you tell me, I am that which I decide that I am. It doesn't matter what I feel, I still am that which I decide that I am. This light is not impacted by emotions. This light is not even impacted by passing thoughts. This light overcomes whatever circumstances outside of you. This light molds worlds. This is the power that you have. This is not a metaphor. This is simply the truth of your existence, the truth of your being. Is that as you walk through reality, whatever the situation is, you get to make a choice. Am I going to allow the light of my assumptions, of my beliefs of who I truly am to spill out, right, and rearrange reality? Or am I going to change my light based on the situation that I see? It's always. So if you're saying, well, this person shows up and they only want this, I would say, well, who do you say that you are? What light are you assuming? What is the story that you're telling? How is the light spilling out of you? Are you sitting here and waiting for someone else to give you permission to decide who you want to be? Or are you deciding who you want to be and then allowing reality to rearrange around that, right? It comes a point where we have to stop trying to learn and simply start being. Stop trying to know and simply know. Stop trying to become and simply be. Be the one. Be who you desire to be. All right? So let's talk about this. The frequency of fulfillment. Becoming before receiving. Becoming before receiving. So we got 4 quotes that we're going to talk about. Number 1 is going to be Romans 4:17. Call those things which be not as though they were. Call those things which be not as though they were. Luke 17:21. Of course, the kingdom of God is within you. Now, an Albert Einstein quote. Energy is the language of the universe. Match the frequency of what you desire and you cannot help but bring it into your life. Now, whenever I was reading things like this back in the day and I would hear frequency, I would always be confused. What does this mean? What is this frequency? What is this feeling that they're talking about? What is it? How do I assume that? How do I invite? What is frequency? What is vibration? So we're going to talk about that. And then a quote from Dorothy Brand, right? Act as if it were impossible to fail. Act as if it were impossible to fail, which is really the key to manifestation right there. If you want to break this down at least what's the most simple way for me to get the things that I want? Act as if it were impossible to fail. Assume the knowing. Simply know that you can't fucking fail. There we go. Manifestation 101 right there. Well, how do I react if this situation looks this way? Why don't you just know that you are the person that cannot fail? What if the rent's due? Why don't you just know that you're the person that cannot fail? What if this person has a third party? Why don't you just know that you're the person that cannot fail? It always comes down to knowing. All answers or all questions lead to the same answer. You're God, make the rules. You're God, make a choice. You're God, decide. You're God, you tell me what it means. I can't tell you what it means. You tell me what it means, because it doesn't matter what I tell you that it means. It only matters what you assume that it means. Right? I can show you the door. You have to make the assumption for yourself. I can say everything is working out for you. You have to make the assumption for yourself. I can say I am that I am. I am prosperity no matter what. You got to decide that for yourself. Right? But this is metaphysics 101. Act as if it were impossible to fail. What would you do? How would your life change if you simply knew for an absolute fact that you couldn't make a mistake? Every path led to your desire. Money simply supported you 100% no matter what it looked like. The situation was always unfolding perfectly for you no matter what it looked like. What would change? Everything. Everything would change. Everything would change because you've changed. All right? So Romans 4:17. Romans 4:17. Call those things which be not as though they were. Okay? How do you know when you truly believe what you're saying to yourself? Stop trying to know and just know. You don't try to know your name, do you? You just know it. You can't ask anyone else how to know, how to truly know. You decide that you know. Stop trying to know. Stop trying to figure these things out and just decide that you are it. It's a choice. If right now I ask you, how do you know your name is your name? Describe the knowing. Describe the quote unquote knowing. When you feel sad, do you know less? When you feel happy, do you know more? You don't have to pull out your birth certificate every time, right? You just know it's your name. How do you know your age? You don't pull out your birth certificate every time you think of your age. You just know it, right? You decide. What if you don't like your age? Too bad, you still are it. You just are it. What if you're sad about it, happy about it? Doesn't matter. You just are it, right? You make a decision. That's how you know. You make a decision. You stop trying. Stop trying to be worthy and just know that you are. Stop trying to be in alignment. Just know that you are. Stop trying to be loved. Just know that you are. Okay? So Romans 4:17, right? Call those things which be not as though they were. This is the mystery of creation hidden in plain sight. The power of your word. When we say word, I'm not talking about the power of like me just sitting here and singing rap lyrics. I'm not talking about me just reciting movie quotes to you, okay? When I'm talking about the word, I'm talking about I am, what I decree, my declaration, my identity. Who do I say that I am? Who do you say that you are? That is the word. So call those things which be not as though they were. The mystery of creation hidden in plain sight. The power of your word to summon reality. It teaches that faith does not wait for proof. Faith does not wait for a feeling. It speaks from the unseen as if it were already established, like God breathing light into darkness. You too are invited to declare from the invisible into the visible. You too. Because you are God. There's no difference. There's no separation. Shaping the clay of existence with the fire of conviction, right? Our conviction is our weapon. This is our power. It cuts through time like a sword. It carves up circumstances. It absolutely rearranges reality instantly. Our conviction is our power. This is our fire. To call it forth is not delusion. It is participation in divine authorship. Beautiful. participation in divine authorship. Okay. Number two, of course, the kingdom of God is within you. We talked about this earlier, where when you walk around, you have this light glowing within you. This light of God, this light which is the kingdom, this light which is all that there is. And now within this light, you carry your assumptions. You get to make assumptions out of anything. Every reality exists within this light within you. And now you get to choose an identity. I am prosperity. I am love. You can even say I am betrayed if you so much feel like it. And because you are so divine, so powerful, so in alignment, you can walk in the room and this light simply spills out of you and it animates everything around you. Everything around you. So the kingdom is within you. Right now, of course, we're making concessions. You are the kingdom. The kingdom isn't just within you. It's outside of you. It's everywhere. Everything is the kingdom. Everything is God, right? But of course, right, just to be clear, right? Because I don't want to cause any confusion. And so I always have to highlight this, especially before somebody tries to be smart and throw this off, right? We have to speak from the illusion of separation to explain unity. Okay? We speak from the perception, even Jesus, right? I and the Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. Speaking from the illusion of separation to define unity. Right? What he's really saying is me, I and God. Like there's only God. Okay? This is why even pushing you towards a relationship wasn't something that Jesus, Yeshua did, right? Because a relationship requires two. So the bridge to get to the knowing that you are simply God is a quote unquote relationship, but that's still seen through the eyes of separation. Me and God, self plus God, but there is no self. There is only God. There is no me and you, there is only God. Right? And so that goes to that further truth when we say I am God, when we say everything is God. This isn't this is not something to elevate me or lower me above or below anyone else, right? It's not a self-exaltation. There is no self to exalt. There is no self to raise over another. There is no another for me to be raised over. There is only God. It's simply the acknowledgement that the omnipresence of God is boundaryless, borderless, right? By pouring the infinite into a finite vessel, you dissolve the finite. Because the infinite simply overpowers it, overtakes it. There is no room left for the finite within the infinite. Let me say that in a different way. The fullness of God cannot be divided. So when you look out, you see the fullness of God in the universe. The universe is the fullness of God. Now, every division still contains the same whole. God cannot be divided. God cannot be here and there. A part of God cannot be here and a part of God cannot be there. That would defeat the purpose of omnipresence. So the fullness of God is the universe. The fullness of God is also in both of your eyes. The fullness of God is also down to every individual cell. Think of it fractally, right? The more you divide, nothing changes. The fullness is still there, right? There's no separation, no division, no boundary, no border, no edge, no beginning, no end. It's just infinity. There is no space in consciousness. There's no distance to travel in consciousness. This is why if you decide that you have a desire, the desire does not exist in the future. There is no distance to travel. It simply exists right here. But also, the illusion of you not having it also exists. So you are so powerful. You're so divinely powerful. You are so God. You're not just powerful, you're all powerful. Because think about it, God cannot be divided. So the fullness of God must reside within you. On multiple levels, on infinite levels. So you are so powerful that if you decide you're not in alignment, if you say I'm not in alignment, things are not working out, reality will mirror this back to you with so much precision. So much precision. You will swear that the universe is testing you, that this is universal law, that something is just going wrong. You will swear that you have to raise your frequency or raise your vibration, which you can't measure. You can't measure it. Well, okay. Somebody's going to say, well, yes, you can measure it. Here you go. You're not walking around 24/7 with a big ass machine strapped up to you, measuring your vibration and saying you're in alignment with wealth. You don't know what that shit means. Right? So it's always our identification. Identification is the master frequency. It's the master vibration. Who I decide I am just is the truth. Because I am God. Therefore, what I say I am is the truth. Huh? Beautiful. Okay? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, you can hear your vibration? Okay. So the kingdom of God is within you. All right, Luke 17:21. This unveils the secret location of all fulfillment. There's always somebody. All right? Not in distant heavens, not in external circumstance, but within your very being. The treasures you seek, peace, abundance, love, wholeness, are not prizes to chase, but whales to uncover in your own soul. When Christ says the kingdom is within, he collapses the distance between seeker and sought, revealing that your innermost self is already the throne of the divine. To realize this is to stop searching outside and begin reigning within. Beautiful. Okay? So the next quote, Albert Einstein. Energy is the language of the universe. Match the frequency of what you desire, and you cannot help but bring it into your life. Frequency. Okay? So this reminds us that creation is not a negotiation, but a resonance. The universe is a great symphony, and everything that appears in form is first a vibration. Now, this is how I want you to think of alignment and vibration, right? Because you could tell me, yeah, you can hear the vibration, you can hear it in your ears, and I would say, good for you, but what does that mean? How do you measure that shit? You don't know. It would simply still come down to you making a decision on what things mean. So everything that you experience is just here. It's all within consciousness. It's all within your mind. It's all you're declaring, you're deciding of who you want to be. If you say this means that I'm out of alignment, guess what? You're right. If you say this means I'm in alignment, guess what? I'm right. So this is how I'm going to define alignment. Okay? You're God. The fullness of God is within you. Okay? The fullness of God is within you. Okay? So with the fullness of God is within you, and you can be whatever you want. When you decide who you are, okay? When you decide who you are, and you believe that to be in alignment with the God within you, that is you being in alignment. Are you who you want to be? That is alignment. Okay? It goes up when I meditate and down if I shout. All right. I'm going to be very clear with y'all. I'm going to be very gentle with y'all, okay? I'm going to say this out of love. Your vibration, your alignment, your quote-unquote frequency does not go up and down when you meditate or when you shout. It only goes up and down when you make rules like that for it. When you say, if I do this, then I'm more in alignment. Then my vibration is up. Guess what, God? Yes, it is. When you say, when I do this, it goes down and I'm out of alignment. When I yell, when I feel down, when I have this feeling, when this happens, guess what? You're absolutely right. But this is the thing. This is what we're getting to. Okay? I'm not here to argue with you over your accurate measurements of your frequency or vibration. I'm trying to tell you that all of those things are simply constraints. You're putting God in a box. You're making the unconditional conditional. You're saying, if I feel a certain way, I am not as in alignment with God. But God cannot leave you. There is no distance between you and God. There is no higher or lower vibration. There is just you standing in the middle of reality, declaring who you are. And right now, if I want prosperity, what I'm trying to tell y'all is this, okay? What I'm trying to tell you is this. If you decide that you are prosperity, why would you base it on your emotions? Why would I say I am prosperity? But if I don't feel good, I'm not in alignment. My frequency is down. I'm not as much prosperity. What sense does that make? If what you accept to be true is your reality, Why would you do that? This is the point that I'm making, is that you are so God, you are so powerful that right now, if you start making up these rules, well, if I feel bad, I'm out of it. When I raise my voice, when I'm upset, when someone cuts me off in traffic, and I react a certain way, then I'm out of alignment. I'm not as much prosperity. When you start doing that, you are placing conditions on the unconditional. God is unconditional. God unconditionally supports you in who you desire to be and who you determine that you are. That's it. God unconditionally supports you. You are unconditionally supported by spirit in whatever you declare yourself to be. That is your power. Your power is your perception, your perspective, your conviction. It's the only thing that you choose. So you want the life of your dreams. Get beyond making it conditional and unconditionally accept that you are the one in perfect alignment with the life of your dreams. There's nothing more to do, to work on. There's simply you needing to accept who you are. That is it. That's the next step. Accept who you are. The only rule is there are no rules, right? The first rule of Fight Club, there are no rules. The first rule of I Am That I Am Club, there are no rules. What you decide the rules are, that's what it is. When you make the decision that you're unconditionally in alignment, hey, all of reality bends to meet you. And that's what you deserve. That's why. Okay? That is why I get so passionate about that, right? Because none of you want to put yourself in boxes, right? So I say it in certain ways, but understand I'm saying this out of love. Okay? You don't want a half version of the life of your dreams. You want the fullness of what you desire. You want the love you desire, the prosperity that you desire, and you deserve those things. You absolutely deserve those things, so accept them unconditionally. Okay? How much do I know? I know enough. I know enough. Okay, so energy. All right, so matter of fact, let's go to the next one, all right? Dorothy Brand quote, act as if it were impossible to fail, right? Like I said, this is Metaphysics 101. Act as if it was impossible to fail. If you ain't know anything about manifestation, that's it right there. Be the one who knows it's impossible to fail. This is the courage of embodiment. To step into your vision as though it could not. Let me start over. This is the courage of embodiment. To step into your vision as though it could not collapse beneath you. It is to live already in the posture of triumph, with the confidence that failure is not even a category in your vocabulary. That was cold. That failure is not even a category in your vocabulary. Such living alters your choices, your stance, your radiance, and the world responds to that certainty. To act as if failure is impossible is to walk the earth as though destiny itself has already nodded in your favor, making your path inevitable, right? So when I say your conviction cuts through time, your conviction carves up circumstances, completely eliminates them. This is what I mean. The knowing that it's impossible to fail. The knowing that it's impossible to fail. Okay, this is Metaphysics 101. This is the constant thing that I've been pushing, right? In all of these discussions later, we've hit this point where when are you going to make the choice that you get it? When are you going to make the choice that you are just unconditionally that which you desire to be? When will you stop looking for permission? You don't need a coach to give you permission. You don't need a book to give you permission. You don't need a TikTok live to give you permission. You need to give yourself permission. The metaphor that the client I was dealing with the other day said that was beautiful, right? Was that it was like standing in an airplane ready to jump, parachute strapped on tight. You can know all the information about the parachute, all the mechanics about manifestation. You can hear all the success stories about people who have jumped out the plane and landed safely. All these people were divinely supported when they made the choice and jumped. You could have the instructor standing by you telling you it's okay. You got this. Jump. You will fly. You will be supported. The parachute works. You can hear the success rate. But only you can jump. When will you decide to jump? When will you make the choice that you get it? I am that I am no matter what. When will you make that decision? Right? The decision that will change your life. The decision that you've been waiting to make. Because we'll say things like what? We'll say, I just hope it clicks. People will say, man, it just clicked, right? It just clicked and I made a choice. What is the clicking? The clicking is, that was the choice. The choice to make it click. The choice to decide. I don't care what the circumstance looks like. Money is an energy that flows through me. It divinely supports me. Everything that I want, money shows up for me. It loves me. It's unconditionally mine. This person that you want, unconditionally yours. Everything will work out. The situation might not look ideal, but the God within me is perfect, so the situation must be unfolding perfectly. It just must. This is just law. When are you going to become the law? When will you truly personify the knowing that you are God, that you are all that there is? That the fullness of God animates every cell within your body. Do you hear me? So I'm going to read this one more time because it was a very powerful quote. Act as if it were impossible to fail. This is the courage of embodiment, to step into your vision as though it could not collapse beneath you. It's when we let go of all of everything in the middle is a distraction. Vibration, distraction. Frequency, distraction. Alignment, distraction. Affirmations, distraction. State akin to sleep, distraction. Subconscious reprogramming, distraction. Nervous system regulation, distraction. All of these things are distractions. Stepping stones, permission slips. For you to get to the ultimate truth, I get to decide. Today is the day that I will simply step in the conviction that no matter how I feel, no matter what I think, I just am who I desire to be. There is no distance between me and that version of me. Everything else is an illusion. Anything that implies I'm not that guy is an illusion. It's false. It's a lie. It's meant to be dropped. I am unconditionally it. I'm unconditionally it. Point blank, period. Okay? I mean affirming in general. I mean anything that you believe you have to do to be the person you desire to be is an illusion. It's just a permission slip. I don't put any, look, you can call it robotic affirmation, you can call it this, you can call it that, you can call it whatever you want, okay? Anything that implies you have to do something to get is a limitation. You don't have to do it. You simply have to know who you are. Said, did I get the SP back? Dang, bro. Why? Come on, bro. Come on. There's nothing that I can't have that I want. There's nothing that you can have it's nothing that you want that you cannot have, right? You don't need my success stories. I have several, right? I give it to y'all all the time. But how many more do you need? How many more times do you need to hear somebody say they got out of this situation? They got their specific person. How many more times do you need to see what's possible before you decide what's possible for your damn self? We could sit up here and I could pull out a piece of paper. I could read success stories out the ass. This person did this person won this person got this person back, this person did this, money came, money this, money that. It wouldn't matter to you if you don't make the decision. It absolutely would not matter to you, right? I had one of y'all go so far as to say, look, if this is true, you should write down all of your successes, every single thing you've manifested with exactly what you did and prove it to me. Fuck no. Why would I do that? To satisfy your ego? You're even if I did that, if you don't want to make the choice, you wouldn't make the choice. Why would I waste my time doing that shit for you? The arrogance sometimes is just insulting. It doesn't matter how many success stories you hear. It's about you. You deserve this. You don't just deserve to sit around and hear my success stories. You deserve to be a success story. The only thing keeping you from that is just a choice, an all-in choice that no, this is just who I desire to be. This is who I am from here on out. This is who I am, right? That's it. It's all a choice. Confusion is a choice. Believing that you need to know more, accepting that maybe there's a little bit more that I have to know about meditation or about timelines or about this or about that. That's a choice. You can still search for that information with the knowing that you're already that which you desire to be. You don't have to make those things a handicap. And I get it. I get it, right? I get it. There are times where you're going to have that doubt, right? And for YouTube and Instagram, the question is, or the statement is, I think we have trouble trusting ourselves when there's so much doubt. And I would say, are you going to wait for perfect conditions, or are you simply going to decide that doubt is just a feeling, a natural human feeling of you experiencing something new? How are you defining it? What do you believe that the doubt is doing in your life? We can stand and hide behind the feeling of doubt and never experience the things that we want. Or we can revisit our definition of the doubt. There are going to be times, let's say that right now you got a new job. The first day of that job, you might be nervous, right? You might have a little bit of doubt. You might be at a job for a minute, for a long time, and now you figure, okay, I want this raise or I want whatever, and you might doubt yourself. You might have feelings of doubt about asking for that raise, but you do it anyway. Why? Because you know what you deserve. You know how you want to expand in life. Doubt is simply a moment in time on the canvas of your life where you get to make a choice. Are you going to serve the doubt, the fear? Are you going to follow it, or are you going to decide, I am that I am no matter what? This doubt, this feeling of anxiety or fear or whatever is just a natural part of my human existence. I've never done this before. And so my body, clinging to the past, clinging to the illusion, wants to protect me. But I'm still in charge. I am that I am no matter what. I can take this next step no matter what. So I hear you. I empathize, right? But I will not go, I will not, when I say I empathize, I don't mean I empathize in a way that I'm going to keep you there, right? I would be doing you a disservice to stoop down and say, oh, you're right. You're right. I understand. I get it. That's fine. While I understand what you're saying, that is the very thing that's going to keep you from the things that you want. So you can either make doubt your master, and doubt becomes the line in the sand, and you never cross that threshold. Or you can decide it's just like any other emotion, and you are still that person which you desire to be no matter what. Okay? Go. And no, I don't think that you are the thought. You're the one that observes, right? Just like healing. You figure out that you don't need to heal when you realize that the person that was healing, that was simply an identity, but that's not who you are. That was simply a perspective that you had of yourself, that you are someone who needs to heal. But you're not. You are the awareness observing. You are simply the one watching yourself take on the persona of someone who needs to heal. But that's not the truth of who you are. The thought, everything rises within consciousness. So everything is within consciousness because consciousness is everything. Because consciousness is everything, right? So the circumstance rises and falls within consciousness. Emotions rise and fall within consciousness. Thoughts rise and fall within consciousness, right? But who am I? I simply am. I am. I am the one who chooses what to identify with and what not to. I am the formless, infinite I am. This is who you are. So you're not your thoughts at all. You're not your emotions at all. You're not the situation at all. Okay? You are the one who observes them. Do you think we have to have physical issues, or can we believe them? You can know who you are, and from the knowing of who you are, the knowing that you're perfect, all of those things must fade away to match the perfection that you are, right? Believing is for children, right? Believing is for children. When they put on costumes, you make a decision that my identity is that of perfection. Okay? And when I say no, I'm not, because I get it, right? I was there, was like, well, how can I know when I have these feelings, when my body feels a certain way? And I would say, well, the same way that you know, even though the situation looks like it's not going to work out. You're not knowing for the purpose of changing that per se. Okay, the situation right now, the moment that you're in just is what it is. But I am that I am. I get to decide my identity. So when I say I am healed, I am whole, I am perfect, I'm not speaking affirmations to the symptom. I'm simply choosing an identity. I'm reminding myself of who I truly am. When I say I am prosperity, I'm not speaking to the bank account or to the bill. I am going to my identity. This is what I choose to be. And those situations must match me. They must change to match me. That's it. Yes, iPhone 16, for sure. All the techniques are just giving you permission to decide that you're already the person you decide to be. Right? That's it. Guys, remember, right? Remember, you are not the circumstances. You are not the emotions. You are not the physical body. We even think that we are within the physical body. You are not within this physical body. This physical body is within you. Okay? You're not within this world. So when that statement, when Jesus said, right, I'm of or in this world, but not of it. Okay? You're not it, you are, this world is within you. This world is within your awareness. Time, you are not in time. Time is within you. Time is within your awareness. Okay? Time is within your awareness. Exactly. The doubt comes up, but you still move forward and do what you got to do. You still know what you know. Love y'all. I love y'all, love y'all, love y'all. All right. So here we go. The vibration precedes the vision. Everything you see in the visible world was once vibration before it was formed. The table began as an idea in the carpenter's mind. The city skyline was first a dream in the architect's imagination. The life you long for exists in the invisible, waiting not for your effort, but for your frequency. Remember, identity is the frequency. Identity is the vibration. I am trumps everything. I'm not talking about a feeling. I'm not talking about a thought. I'm talking about identity. Who do you say that you are? It's a decision. Who do you say that you are? Okay. So when Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you, well, he wasn't speaking about chasing a distant heaven. This is about the living dimension that you carry now. To call forth your desire is never to pull something from afar, but to tune, to remember who you have been the whole time. Is to choose an identity that already exists within you right now. This is why, right? When we go to scripture and it goes to things like Mark 11:24, what does it say? When you pray, believe you have received it and it will be yours. Now, we kind of think like this is talking about pretending to be somebody. Act as if. That's not what it's talking about. When you pray, believe you have received it. Okay, if you have received it, this is a memory, right? So remember that you have already had it. Remember that this is already who you desire to be. Remember this is already who you are. Okay? Cool. So the quote unquote vibration, the knowing, the identity must precede the vision. And the vision always bows to the vibration. Okay? Vibration. When it says faith without works is dead. The work is consciousness. The work is always in consciousness. Okay? Now, remember, that's said in different ways, right? Because we also see where it says you reap what you sow. But then later on, it also says, look at the birds, right? They neither reap nor sow, yet everything that they desire is given to them, right? All of this is what? It's talking about different laws. Right? It's all talking about these different laws, these different ways of thinking. Okay? So when we talk about, oh shit, we have to have a high vibration. What does that mean? What does a high vibration mean? What does a high vibration mean, yo? What does that even mean? When we talk about, do we have to have a high vibration? What does that mean? What is a high vibration? Identity is a vibration or a frequency. Feeling good is not a high vibration. Feeling good is just feeling good. Connect better to spirit. You are spirit. There's no spirit. There's nowhere for spirit to go or return to. How can you fall out of connection with that which you are? How can you fall out of vibration with that which you are? It can be measured by how many people hate you for no reason. Knowing your co-creator, you can receive anything that you desire. Sure. What I'm saying is this, y'all. You're always in a high vibration. You're always in high vibration, okay? Even if you decide, if you make a decision right now that you're not in alignment, you are so high vibrational. You're so in alignment that comes true in your reality. Right? Of course, my brother. Of course. It all has to be experienced, right? The only thing you can do is explain it the best way you can, but everyone still has to make a choice. They still have to decide, right? And that's all it is. That's all it is, okay? They always say to maintain your vibration and say doing certain reduces your vibration. And okay. There's nothing that you can do to ruin or bring forth your manifestation, except for say that you can do something to ruin or bring forth your manifestation. That's it. Okay? You have put your power in these things that you do, the way that you eat, the way that you meditate, right? And the way that you abstain from sex. You have put all of your faith in these middlemen, believing that you are not God. You have put a subconscious mind in between you and God. You have put a nervous system in between you and God. You have put a 30-day fruit fast. You have put a juice cleanse. You have put a meditation. You have put state akin to sleep. You have put affirmations in between you and God. But then you turn around and say God is within you. So who are you trying to convince? If God is within you, where do you think the desire came from? Who are you trying to when you are doing all these affirmations, who are you trying to convince to give you something? If you believe that you are God, God is within you, right? The fullness of God is within you. Then who the hell are you trying to convince with your affirmations? It's like we believe that, oh yeah, God is within me, but God is only over here. But the desire is over here, so I have to merge them with affirmations. It's a very ridiculous concept. You just are God. This is what it meant when it says, I and the Father are one, but the Father is greater than I. The Father does the work. You simply have to trust it's being done. You simply have to know. Just know. You're not convincing your ego to do the work. A lot of you do affirmations like you're trying to convince your ego, like your ego is God. It's just a collection of thoughts trying to keep you safe. God doesn't need you to convince him or it or her, whatever you believe, right? It'd be a concession to give any kind of title to God anyway. God just is, right? But of course we have to speak through the illusion of separation just so this can make sense. Right? Because speaking purely from oneness would be kind of difficult, right? But God just is. If the desire comes up in the same place that God resides within you, if you simply accept it to be true, it's done. We do affirmations, or we might remind ourselves simply to calm down that egoistic mind that's so caught up in the illusion, that's been paying attention to the illusion for 20, 30 years, that we're just doing that because we're giving it grace. We're saying, okay, with the mind, the body's been caught up for so long. Of course it has to catch up with the eternal truth. I've already remembered the truth, right? I've remembered the truth. The truth is that I am that which I desire to be. I am that which I desire to be. Point blank, period. It's done. The gifts and the callings, right? Romans 11:29, for the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. So God can't take it back. But you are also God. So if you start putting all these middlemen in between you and your desire, that's what you're going to experience. But you don't have to experience that. You can make the choice that you are that which you desire to be right now, no matter what. You can take on the identity of that. Doesn't matter if you feel good about it. Doesn't matter if you doubt it. You just are it. You just are it. Okay? The emotions just are, but I am. The thoughts just are, but I am. The circumstance just is, but I am. Right? Allow the body, give the body grace as it tries to catch up with the truth that you have remembered. Give the mind grace, give the thoughts grace as they try to catch up with what you have already remembered. You're already what you desire to be. So now your job, you don't have to sit there and wrestle the ego into submission, right? Don't worry, it'll get on board when it sees. You simply remind yourself that the ego doesn't do the work, it's already done. You're not required to have perfect emotions, perfect thoughts, to have the life that you want. You're simply required to know who you are, to make a decision, to make a choice, to stand in the knowing of who you are. Right? Emotions are still a perfect part. Exactly, like your loved ones, right? If your daughter, your son ran up to you saying, hey, mom, hey, dad, bro, I feel anxiety, bro, this is going on. You wouldn't say, oh, get out of that mood or you can't get what you want. You wouldn't tell them to get out your face. You would give them presents. You would say, no, it's cool, it's okay. But here's the truth. You might be anxious, but here's the truth. You're perfect. You're loved. You're divine. All we're doing, right, as humans is we're constantly parenting our damn selves. We're all just we're infants when it comes to eternity, at least in this human experience. When it comes to the timeline of eternity. So you are parenting yourself through this, right? You're reminding yourself that it's okay. You are loved. You're fine. And eventually your silence will speak loud enough where you won't have to do all of that. But it's just a journey of remembrance. It's just a journey of remembrance. It's okay not to feel it. Stop trying to feel it. Stop waiting to feel it and just be it. Stop waiting to feel it. Just be it. Right? Stop waiting for another excuse. Stop waiting for another permission slip. Right? And does manifestation work when you have bad intentions or want something bad for someone for no reason at all? Well, you are God, okay? You are God, so you get whatever you want. However, I would, from my perspective, right, which is just my perspective, is that we are all one. We're all one. Okay, we're all God. Harming someone else is simply just harming yourself. But this is my way of thinking. I can't tell you that your way is right or wrong, but what I'm also saying is that this is still you, right? The person that you're trying to hurt is just you. So explain a car accident from self within. because you're confused, you would never want to harm me. Are you okay right now? Are you okay right now? So many times we sit around trying to figure out why something quote unquote negative happened to us instead of simply waking up to the truth that you're safe and I am protected you. And you're safe. And we're like, oh, well, why did this happen? Why did this person leave? Why did this accident happen? Why did this person get sick? Why did this experience show up in my life? Because all realities exist. Because every possible outcome exists. And you don't sit there and micromanage every single thing that happens. You have things that show up in your life that just give you an opportunity to choose what you want. Do you want more of it? Do you want less of it? Sitting around and trying to figure out what you did to create it is now you identifying with that. And the more you identify with that, guess what? You're just dragging more and more of that experience into your reality. You don't want that. Right? So don't spend all of your time trying to figure out why this, why that. Focus on the things you want. What do you want? What meaning do you want to give it? Or do you want to not give it meaning at all? You don't have to give it meaning. We'll get so consumed, right? This is one of those things. It's like we'll get so consumed and so caught up in the weeds on this reality creation journey. We simply start thinking everything, right? You drop a paper clip at work and you're like, oh, what did I do to create that? You don't have to focus on everything. You can focus on the truth that you are safe. I am kept you safe. The knowing that you are divinely protected should be enough. Now move forward with that knowing, and that should solidify even your ability to move forward beautifully through this reality. Right? Like, so I was in a fire, right? I was in a fire in 2014. When I was in the fire, I was in the hospital for about a month, okay? Now, I could have sat around and said, why did this happen? Why did this happen? But what actually did happen, I could, like, if I had just sulked in the corner trying to figure out what I did wrong, of course, I didn't really know much about reality creation then, but if I had just did that, I could have missed out opportunities. But I actually met somebody in the hospital that gave me an opportunity for a job, and that job changed the trajectory of my life. It changed my life completely. If it was not for that situation, I don't know where I would be. At that time, I was doing nothing, basically. I was doing nothing. So it's two ways that I can look at it. No, I'm not going to go down that path of saying that everything happens for a reason. I believe that it does. From the knowing that I'm God, I believe that everything can be salvaged. But when I say everything happens for a reason, I'm talking about to my ultimate chief aims. Reality just is what it is. And as it's unfolding, I still get to make a choice that everything is working out or that it's not. In this moment, I have all of my power and I get to look out at reality, which is just an extension of me, and decide what it is. I can say it's not working out. Why did this happen? I would never create that. Or I can say it's still always working out. I don't know how, but it is. Both are true. Both views, both perspectives are true. We never know, right? We don't have the perspective. We don't have the capacity to see it. You only see 0.0001% of reality. A drop in the bucket. We don't have the perspective to see reality for what it really is. This is why even scripture will tell you, right? Judge not by appearance, but judge by righteous judgment. What is righteous judgment? Because we've talked about that. Righteousness isn't, doing right by people. Righteousness is knowing that whatever I see is not the truth. Whatever I know myself to be, that is the truth. That is righteousness. See with the eyes of God. See with the eyes of God. It's all working out for you beautifully. You are the eyes of God. Choose to see with the eyes of God. All right, so here we go. You're not manifesting from what you do. That's a big one, right? So identity is the signal, is the point of this perspective, right? You are not manifesting from what you do. You're manifesting from what you are. Identity, right? Identity is the master vibration. Identity is the master frequency. Identity is all. Identity is king. Identity, I cannot stress it enough. What you decide that you are, someone that it always works out for, someone that it doesn't, someone that money supports, someone that it doesn't, someone that is love, the wellspring of love. Everyone that walks in your life becomes a celebration. Everyone that walks in your life becomes a celebration of the love that you are. That's it. That identity is key. Identity is key, okay? Your actions are the echo, not the source. Circumstance is the echo, right? I could know myself as love, and certain things, tokens could show up in my life to help me celebrate the love that I am, but I am love with or without them. I'm love with or without you. I just am love, okay? So here's a quote from Gnosticism. The world came into being through me, yet I did not come into being through the world. It's basically telling the truth about you. The world came into being through me, yet I did not come into being through the world. Okay? So why do they say action is necessary for manifest? You can just manifest from your self-concept. Not self-concept, from I am. From I am. From who you decide you are, right? Self-concept is another permission slip. What self-concept do you need when you are God? You are all that there is. People say action is necessary because they want to put conditions on God. But God has no conditions. Spirit just is. So I'm so powerful that I can decide that I need to take action and manifest, and that will be my reality. That's it. People can give you their ideas, right? But I've told y'all stories where people have woken up with different numbers in their bank account. Winning the lottery, didn't even fucking play the lottery. Simply decided that they had this money. How can you win the lottery if you didn't play it, Alex? Open your mind to miracles. I told y'all the situation. Money was just paid. Bank account just paid. Everything was just paid off. Facing eviction, no job. Everything was just paid magically through thin air. Now, if you tell me that you have to do something, I will say, I don't believe that is true. However, if that is your belief, then yes. So this is the point. Okay? So this is the point. Okay? This is the point. What you accept as the truth, it doesn't matter what they say or what I say. It's about what you say. It does not matter what I sit up here and tell you. It only matters what you say. Okay? And then you swear you don't understand that God in me would not want children to suffer. Do you believe that God is all that there is? Do you believe that God is all possible outcomes, right? Remember, Genesis 1:31 said God looked at what he created. God looked at what he created, and it was very good. Very good. Now, if you take that to the Hebrew, when we break down very good back to the Hebrew roots, it means whole, harmonious, everything exists. Every possible combination exists. So if every possible combination exists within all that there is, here's a question. What do you expect not to see? If every possible combination exists, what do you expect to not show up within all that there is? Well, the answer should be nothing. If all that exists, then nothing is out of it. Now, here's the thing, okay? So now we bite of that tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Adam and Eve, you bite of that tree, you eat that fruit, right? Which one of them, right? There's several metaphysical ways that we can interpret the story of Adam and Eve, but one of the ways that we interpret it is what? Birth. You are born. Your soul, your spirit descends into flesh and bone and blood, and now you are born into duality. What does duality mean? Well, when you think of the conscious mind or Adam, right? Some people want to look at Adam and Eve as gender roles. That's one way you could look at it. Another way, and there's multiple, there's several, is that Adam represents the conscious mind. So Adam was given this task that said what? You're not following me. You're not following me. You're not following me. All right, follow me. If God is everything, what do you expect not to exist? You're making a judgment on what you prefer. I'm saying get beyond your judgment of right and wrong. What do you expect not to exist within all that there is? Get away from your feelings for a second. Okay? This is a bigger truth. All right. So all that there is all that there is. Nothing exempt. What you consider pain, suffering, struggle, all of that is within all that there is. Or else it wouldn't be all that there is. It would only be some of what there is. But that's not the nature of the all. That's not the nature of spirit. Okay? So all things exist. Now, if all things exist, all things exist. As spirit, you get to descend into flesh and bone and blood. You have the tree. You eat the tree, the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, right? And what this is descending into duality. Meaning, now my conscious mind looks out and I say, this is right, this is wrong. This is working out, this isn't. This is prosperity, this isn't. The same way that Adam in the garden was given the task of what? You name the animals. The conscious mind, you name it. The same way that you walk through reality and you name things right, wrong, good, and bad. Now, some of you might say, well, there's certain things, Alex, they just are wrong. There are certain things that are just absolutely wrong. And I would say, well, that's still just your perspective. What do you mean, Alex? Well, of course, I have my perspective on certain things that are right and wrong as well. But let's take sexual assault. You might be against it. Okay? Me too. Is it the law of the land that is illegal across the world in all places? Why would it not be somewhere? Because people there have a different set of morality. They have a different standard of morality. When I judge God based on a human set of morality, guess what? It's always going to be different. It's always going to be flailing. It's always going to be loose, right? Your concept of morality, this is the point that I'm making, right? Your concept of morality is based on where you were born, the situation you went through, how you were brought up, what you've experienced as right and wrong, what you have seen with your eyes and accepted as right and wrong is what you perceive right and wrong as. And now we try to take our perception and take the infinite and place it in a box and say, if God is good, then why would things outside of what I believe is good happen? But God just is. God just is. God just is reality. Just is all that there is. This is a human. It's us that sit down here and judge. It's us that have descended into duality, that sit around and judge and say right, wrong, good, bad, give things meaning. Now let's take this to our life. And we'll walk through our life and we'll see certain things unfold and we'll say, this is right. This is wrong. This is good. This is bad. Here's the truth in your reality. It's only as good or bad or right and wrong as you make it. Nothing is good or bad, right or wrong. Because good and bad, right and wrong would imply that God judges. And God doesn't get into the middle. God just is. Just unconditionally supporting you in what you decide that you are. So if you decide that what you're going through is wrong and it's never going to work out, you're just unconditionally supported in getting more of that. If you decide it's all working out perfectly and beautifully, you're unconditionally supported in getting more of that. We try to associate God with our human emotions and feelings. God is above your love, above your hatred, above your anger. God just is. That is not moved by your praise. God is not moved by your bitterness. The only thing spirit is moved by is what? Your acceptance of who you are. That's it. Your unconditional. This is the true unconditional love. Heaven and hell are a fairy tale. Fairy tale don't exist. They're an absolute fairy tale. When you read scripture, I want you to read it as a book of consciousness, internal states of being. Concept of heaven and hell goes against the nature of God. That would make God a judging, like in the weeds type. This is we give human attributes to the divine, to the infinite, to all that there is. You are unconditionally, this is the true unconditional love, is that who you decide to be, you just are it. Who you decide to be, you just are it. You're unconditionally supported, right? God is love. So if it just is love, why does it need your love? Remember, it is a concession. Even speaking of this being like it's a being, when it's spirit, when it's just all that there is, it's all a concession just to make the point. It's just to make the point, right? But a spirit that just is love does not need your love, does not require your service, right? That's one of the perversions of religion. It says you're made to serve God. No, you're made to express God. You're simply made to express God. God just is, okay? God just is. Stop putting so much pressure on God, bro. I can tell that you're not understanding what I'm saying, which is fine. Which is fine. But that was an extreme projection. Putting pressure on God is a ridiculous thing to say. What pressure is there on God from what I said? All right? So then we decide if the actions we take are good and bad. Absolutely. Who else decides? You're the only one narrating your life. You are the only one narrating your life. Okay? God just is means God is everything, everywhere, all at once, omnipresent, right? So if God just is, okay, I want you to, dang, how much battery do I have? Okay, I got 4%. We good. Damn, should I plug it in? It depends. If we get into depth, I'll plug it in. Okay, this is what I mean. All right, let's play this game. I want you right now to think about yourself, okay? Now, I want you to look at your hand, okay? Just hold your hand up and look at it. And I want to say, who is the one who is actually looking at your hand? Who is the one that's looking at your hand? Okay? Would you exist without the hand? Right? You're not the hand because you would exist without the hand. Okay? When you say that you are sad, right? When you have a feeling of sadness, when you say, oh, I just feel sad, who is the one who, quote unquote, feels sad? Would you exist without the sadness? Okay? When you have your memories, okay, when you think of memories of the past, when you have the desires of the future, right? Who is the one who experiences, thinks of those memories? Would you exist without those memories? Yes. Would you exist without this body? Yes, you would. Once you start peeling back that layer, you'll figure out that you just are the awareness observing all of these things. There was never healing to do. There was never anyone to fix because you were just taking a perspective as someone who needed fixing. So when you start peeling back the illusion, right, you start taking step back, step back, step back, step back, right, you realize you're just the observer in this anyway. You just are existence itself. This is the nature of spirit. Spirit just is. It exists beyond concepts of right and wrong, right? There was a very profound statement that Jesus made, right? He said, before Abraham was, I am. Metaphysically, Abraham represents identity. Abraham was given this gift or this calling, you could say, right? The gifts and callings of God are irrevocable. Abraham's descendants were going to be as numerous as the stars. Okay, Abraham was going to be the father of the Israelites, right? From Abraham, there would be a split to chosen or unchosen people, right? An identity was built based on Abraham, a spiritual, quote unquote, identity. So what this statement from Jesus was talking about was before you had an identity, before the world told you you were this or that, before you decided you were this or that, you just were. Before Abraham was, I am. This wasn't talking about time. It was talking about before identity, point blank, period. This is the nature of existence, or God, or I am. Technically, no, exactly. The I doesn't exist. So remember, okay, so let's break down I am. Damn, that was a good question. All right, you've convinced me to plug in the phone. You convinced me. Y'all have convinced me. You win. Okay, let's talk about, oh shit, come on now. Or maybe I can't. If I can't stand y'all up, you might not. All right, so let's talk about this. So if we move my computer over. All right. So, what is the first manifestation of God? All right. So God is just pure spirit, right? All right. So God is pure spirit, right? What is the first manifestation of God? Okay. The first manifestation of God is the Word. What is the Word? The Word is I am, right? So let's think about this metaphorically or metaphysically. Okay. So even John will say what it says, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was God, the Word was with God. All right. That was the first manifestation of God. Okay. But God is infinite, right? God just is what it is. Okay. This is what Jesus represents metaphysically. The first begotten Son of God, the Father, right, is the Word. It's I am. This is why we refer to God or Jesus metaphysically as I am awareness, Christ consciousness, right? What is that? It's simply your consciousness of being, the knowing of who you are, the truth of who you are. You just are reality itself, okay? So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. The Word was with God. This is a statement that, yes, the first manifestation is the Word. It's simply awareness being aware that it is. I am. I am is the Word. It's just awareness being aware. Just aware, point blank, period. And now what does the Son represent? Awareness being aware of itself. But even the statement, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, this is speaking like it's separate, but it's not. If you really look at it, it's not separate at all. It's speaking as unity consciousness. In the beginning was the Word was God, the Word was with God. So all of these things are the exact same. But the first manifestation of in the beginning was simply I just am. What is the paradox within that? There is no I. There is no I. There is no small self. There just is existence. Okay? That's the best way that I can explain it right now. But yes, you're absolutely right. There is no I, right? There is no self. This is why even thinking that you can create a relationship with God, right? There is no relationship that can be created because relationship requires two, and there is only God. There's only being. There's only existence. There is only am, right? There's only isness, the isness of reality, right? So it's when we start getting down to it, right? It's actually pretty beautiful how a lot of these truths are wrapped up even in Scripture, right? There's just isness. It's pretty fire. I know you do, El. I know you do. Why is all of this if God is all of us? If you did not have the illusion of separation, then how would you experience what you are, right? So you just are love, right? You just are love. You are prosperity. If right now you only perceived oneness and you molded or merged into the trees, into the birds, into, you know what I'm saying, every other being, right? First of all, your mind would collapse. Your mind would collapse. But second of all, you could only experience the love that you are through the illusion that there is another. Okay, so let's break this down like this. Let me adjust this YouTube screen. All right, let me break this down like this, okay? Reality existed, right? So there was simply reality. There's all that there is. Now, one of the desires of this spirit, okay, and of course I'm going to make a lot of concessions in this conversation. I'm going to make a whole lot of concessions in this conversation only so this can make sense. So you have this infinite quote unquote being, this spirit, right? And so now the spirit creates everything. All things exist. It looks at reality and it says, this is very good. It's whole, it's harmonious, it's beautiful. And so now this being wants to experience itself. So the first desire of this being is, now I'm aware I've created all of this and all of this is me. It's whole, it's harmonious, everything exists. And now I want to be aware of myself. I want to experience myself. So I want you to imagine this being creating this divine vessel, right? Imagine this being creating this divine, beautiful vessel. Okay? I got you. This why. The why is the beautiful question. Because what else is there to do? If you create all of this, what else is there to do but experience it, okay? So now you create this divine vessel that can hold the fullness of you within it. All right? But when you pour the fullness of yourself within this vessel, you have this cracking that happens. It's not that the vessel separates, but it creates the illusion of separation. It creates all these multiple different vessels, right? Which is just one, but it cracks. The nature of reality is that when this vessel is poured into, it cracks, right? It becomes this mirror-like illusion that gives the illusion of cracking, the illusion of separation. So one vessel can experience itself through the illusion of another. This is the only way that you could experience yourself, that beautiful woman that you want to hug and embrace. You could not do that without the illusion of separation. You could not do that without the illusion of separation. It's divine. So now you have this mechanism, this veil, like thing that's placed within these vessels. Once again, concessions. What do we call this? These days we call it an ego. And so now you have this ego, and what does this ego allow you to do? This vessel holds the fullness of the divinity. It still feels the fullness, the connection with everything. It knows it simply knows itself as all that there is. But now the ego, what does it do? It takes all the light and it acts as a prism. If you know what a prism might be a cube, it might be a sphere, but a prism basically can take in light. And then it shoots out light from different projections, okay? So this prism or this ego, this holy part of you, is now placed in you, and now all of the light that you are is shot through this prism. But you get to decide what perspective you're going to take. You're going to say, I'm prosperity. I'm a person who always works out for, right? My name is Alex. I am this age. I am whatever the case may be. And so that perspective is shot out of that prism. Boom. And now you experience the illusion of you taking one perspective of yourself and seeing the world within it. What do they call this one perspective in science? They call it the 0.0001% of reality that you can experience. The other 99.99%, the energy, the empty space, is just within you. It's all contained within that prism of you. But you're only simply seeing that one perspective that you choose to experience as yourself right now. Okay? And so now what we do is, because we're in this veil and we've forgotten, we forget that all versions are within us. So then we see something that we like, forgetting that everything out here is just you. And so we see somebody with a nice car and we feel jealous. Okay. Now, what does that jealousy mean? All right, let's go a little bit further. We're going to go deeper with this. Okay. What does that jealousy really mean? Now, if I see things through the illusion of separation, that I'm here, that God's over there, that I'm here, the desire's over there, the future version of me is somewhere down out there, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to say, bruh, why does everything work out for them but not for me? How come they can get it but not me? How come it seems like people who just do wrong get things but I can't? We start seeing through the eyes of separation. Now, there's a beautiful story in scripture and in a lot of spiritual texts, and this story is about the war in heaven. Let's call it that, right? So there's God and there's all of these angels, right? And then there's this angel Satan, Lucifer, whatever, right? And this angel or being or spirit, right? Concession. Okay, these are all concessions. This being gets a third of the angels to gather up and rebel against God. Once again, concession, okay? And then they're kicked out of heaven, right? They're kicked out of heaven. Now remember, you are already all that there is. The kingdom is within you. So what does this represent? Now let's say that I see things through the illusion of separation. Let's say I see things through the illusion of separation. Now, I see somebody who has something I don't have and I get jealous. Right? I want you to think about this. There's a word demon, right? And we translate that back to the Greek, it's daemon, which actually translates to spirit guide. So when you have this story of the devils or the demons getting kicked out, now you have these two beings. You have angels, you have demons. Angels, metaphysically, are meant to call you to a higher understanding of yourself. Demons or spirit guides are meant to call you to a more grounded. They're giving you more information about who you really are. Right? So you have these demons. Okay, let's call it jealousy. And if I do not see my jealousy for what it is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast it out of myself. I'm going to say that's just bad. I got to get that out of here. I'm casting it out of the kingdom, out of heaven. Does that sound familiar? So we take our fear and we say, I can't feel fear. What if I have this doubt? I have to push it away. What if I have this anxiety? I have to push it away. We cast it out of ourselves. This is why when we're pushed to believe that things are outside of us, it's very difficult for me to think all things are for me. How can I believe all things are for me if I think there's angels running around out there and there's demons and devils and Satans running around out there? But when I understand that these are metaphysical, okay, now all of a sudden I have this jealousy and I ask myself the simple question. It becomes a spirit guide. I say, what do I have to believe to be true to feel this way? Now I can get to the truth. I can say, oh, well, I'm jealous because I don't believe that I can get that. I believe that person doesn't deserve it. Because I think it requires some hard work. I think God is separate from me. I don't think God will provide that. I don't know that everything I see is within consciousness. So now when we start to actually dig into why we feel this way, what do? We get closer, we get a better understanding of ourselves. We shine the light of our awareness on whatever that emotion is. And now the next time it comes up, we remind ourselves of the truth. That's it. So all sin, any sin is simply seeing through the eyes of separation. It all stems from the illusion of separation. The illusion of separation makes jealousy toxic. Toxic. Okay? But when I remember that everything within consciousness is also within me, how could I be jealous? If I want it, I accept that it's mine, therefore it is. When I see you through the eyes of separation, I see you in pure lust. In pure lust. But when I see you through the eyes of the divine, when I see you with devotion, it becomes an honor to honor you. I simply see life different, right? Even the desire that I have for you is simply God trying to express itself through another experience. It's all beautiful. Right? I forgot where I was going before I went on that detour, but yeah, there's the bottom line. The bottom line is that when we see things through the eyes of separation, right, it causes issues. It causes issues. Yes. Yeah. If something that somebody says triggers me, I mean, anybody carrying that message would have triggered me, right? It's not just them. It is something within me. What do I believe to be true to feel a certain way? Yeah. The universe animates us, so ultimately its power is within us. There's no separation. There's no separation. There's absolutely no separation. Right? So yeah, the point of that ego or that prism is simply to project one perspective into reality to allow you to experience yourself. But the purpose of the illusion is that you cannot experience yourself without the illusion. The beauty of love, the beauty of sex, the beauty of a nice car, the beauty of whatever experience that you want, the beauty of a firstborn child, right? You cannot experience those things without the illusion of separation. So all of these things become beautiful when you understand, right? They're here for you to fully experience and fully love. With all the sins or bad deeds worshiping throughout you're making the assumption that God, right, is some being that's looking to punish you. God is just spirit. God is just simply looking to experience life through you. So if that's the case, then what do you believe is going to happen when you pass away? If all is one, how many more of you do you believe that there are if all is one? What do you think happens? What do y'all think happens when you fast? If it's all one, if it's all unity, right? If there's no separation, what happens? Appreciate you, Ashley. How many more experiences do you think it's possible for you to have? Do you think it's possible for you to run out of experiences to have? If your beliefs create reality, what do you think happens when you pass away? Have you ever talked to somebody who has passed away before? I just asked all those questions to get you to think a little bit. That's all, right? Death is an interesting thing, right? Because it's something that, as humans, we're kind of drawn to thinking about. But you know that you would exist without this body. You know that. So what is the next thing that could happen? So kills. What is the end goal? It's whatever you want it to be. The purpose of life is you. What else would be the purpose, right? The purpose is whatever you decide the purpose is. You get to decide what the purpose is in this reality, in this life, which is absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely divine. What type of energy would if I was starting a business? Shit, the type of energy where I know it's going to work out no matter what I see. It's all going to work out perfectly for your boy. Because it must. Because I am who I desire to be. What is the part of the devil then? Tell me, right? The part of the devil is simply a different part of your consciousness, right? If there is only God and there's only one, then there cannot be another. So the devil is simply you experiencing contradicting thoughts. It's you experiencing these fears and doubts and all. It goes back to that story that we talked about the angels getting kicked out of heaven. That's all. It's those parts of you that you don't accept. It's the part of you that pulls you away from your divinity. How did I get to this level of awareness? The school of life. School of life. Hella ass whippings through life, you know? I'm not a Scorpio. Why y'all think I'm a Scorpio? I'm not a Scorpio. I'm an asparagus. I'm asparagus rising. Now I'm an asparagus rising. I don't know why y'all think I'm a Scorpio. Y'all just throw all kinds of fake news out here. We need to broccoli. we need to fact check the chat. Every time y'all tell a lie, I'm fact checking. Yeah, asparagus rising, a zodiac moon. I give zero Scorpio vibes. What the hell even is a Scorpio vibe? How to pray then? Well, when you see with the eyes of God, right, you understand that everything is prayer because everything is God. So you sitting down and enjoying a cup of water is praying. You being present, right, when you're in a conversation with your mother is praying, right? You making love to that woman and being present is praying. It's all prayer because you're always honoring God. Now, let's see here. If God is simply awareness, right? Awareness, consciousness, the fabric of reality, what gift could you give awareness? What gift could you give awareness? Have you ever sat down in a conversation with someone and you just knew they weren't paying attention? You just knew they weren't present with you? You just knew they weren't aware? So what gift could you give awareness? What gift could you give awareness? Yeah, a Libra does make sense. I could see Libra. Thank you, Skinny Rich Girl. I appreciate you. Presence. Presence, 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 presence. Presence. Presence, awareness, all of that, right? That's it. That's the key right there. You want to know the greatest gift that you can give awareness? It's awareness. Yeah, that is crazy. Nah, bro, I am a Scorpio. I am a Scorpio, seriously. That's funny though. I can tell everybody that said a Virgo is a Virgo. Everybody that said a Virgo is a Virgo. Or Virgos want to relate to everybody. Look at me just throwing out assumptions. I must be on the cusp. Look at y'all just forming these assumptions. No, but I do know a little bit something about zodiac sign. Even though I can't be placed in a box, right? God can't be. But do you know that Scorpio is the highest? Is not the highest, right? Let me not trigger some of y'all. It's the only zodiac that has tiers, right? Pillars. Okay, I think with the Scorpio, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. There's 7 tiers, right? 7 tiers, with the highest being the archetype of the phoenix, right? It's typically like a sage or a mystic type of path, right? I used to buy into that so much, right? Yeah. Scorpio, ego, phoenix, all of that, right? So if you are a Scorpio and you're interested in it, look up the different tiers, the different pillars of Scorpio. It'll be very interesting. Very interesting information. It's very interesting. Yeah. Happy born day. Happy birthday to anybody that's a Scorpio. I think we're about to be at the end, right? What about Taurus? Oh, I don't know nothing about that. I have no interest in knowing about anything except for mine. Why would I know about that? Why would I care about a Taurus? What even is a Taurus? Our sister sign. I feel like everybody my sister. Everybody my sister sign, you feel me? Oh. A big gang of consciousness facts. We get y'all throwing up y'all gang signs. My dog is September 1st. So what's that? Is that a Virgo? Y'all repping zodiac signs like gangs. Yeah, okay. What's our job in this world? Your job is whatever you decide it to be, right? You have a divine ability to choose whatever identity you want and whatever purpose you want, right? So it's always on you. You get to decide whatever you want. What up, man? Our desires are a map of guidance. Facts. Our desires are a map. Divinely guiding us to divinely guiding us. Why did I attract y'all here? Good question. Yeah. Basically, I'm just going to let y'all chat for a while. The thirst trap on the story. Sometimes you just got to let people know that when you say that you are God, right? Like, that's what you mean. That's what it is. In every sense, right? In every sense. Spiritual topics can be quite difficult to speak clearly, right? Like, so if you want to speak on spiritual topics, I mean, speak on your truth, right? Simply decide to speak on your truth. I think that's really all I can advise, man, because let's talk about reality creation space. You're going to find several different people, and every single person is going to have a perspective that's unique to them, right? I can only speak through the lens of my perspective, through the lens of my experience. I can only speak my truth, right? And if that truth resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? But the goal is that you find someone or something that helps you come to a deeper understanding of yourself. That's the game. It's also one of those fields and one of those things that, you know, especially when we get to this space, like I am awareness, consciousness, right? I can explain it, but you have to experience it. I can explain it and you can understand this intellectually, but you got to experience it. You got to experience it. You have to make the decision. You've got to make the decision. So yeah, follow what you desire to do. Follow what you desire to do. Follow what you desire to do. And then just sit and live in that truth. Sit and live in that truth. My uncle's doing good. I appreciate y'all. I'm actually gonna go up there and see him. Probably about 2. Probably go out there and see him about 2:00. So the role of prophets, where you become the ultimate prophet, right? Everybody becomes kind of a permission slip. They'll give you permission to simply accept the truth of who you are, right? So whether it's, you know, somebody reading tarot for you, right? They can get an energetic signature on where you are right now, but timelines infinitely unfold, right? Based on decisions, you change timelines moment by moment. So even that simply becomes a permission slip for you to accept the truth of who you are and actually stay in the reality that you desire. But you could just as easily reject the message of anyone, right? The teaching of anyone, and choose a different path. You always have that. That ability per se. Always have that ability. So really kind of the point of this is the more that we have this conversation, it's always about taking your power back. It's about accepting the truth of who you are. And the truth of who you are is you are the narrator, the author, the editor, the projector, the experiencer, the God of your reality. From that perspective, you can choose to accept or reject whatever you want. You get to choose what everything means. Okay. Then what do I know about Abdullah? Nothing really. I mean, I know that he was Neville's teacher. We talked about the story in Barbados several times on here. But like historically, I have no idea. I have no idea. Appreciate you, RD. Thank you. Appreciate you. I appreciate all of y'all. I love to hear that, B. I love to hear that. Hope y'all didn't think I'm evil. Was just wondering about morality. Don't want to harm. You can't harm anyone. You good, man. We are just trying to learn. I used to listen to Dolores Cannon, but these days I don't really listen to many people. How often do I tap into the guy's records? Never. Not intentionally. I did have an experience with the Akashic Records, but it was like it was a mystical experience, but even that, right? It's simple. Okay. I can get information on past lives, future lives, the meaning of certain experiences, cool. But I still get to bottom line, make the decision. So what y'all find out about me is that I've had a lot of mystical experiences, but at this point in my life, I give power to nothing. Right? I give power to nothing. There is nothing outside of me that can add or subtract to the divinity that I already am. There's nothing that can pull me down a different path. There's nothing that can push me down a different path, right? That's it, right? So all of those things, while damn, they used to be so interesting. I used to be obsessed with the Akashic Records. But these days I'm not really that interested in it. But however, not saying that you shouldn't. Okay, what I'm saying, if you have the pull or the calling to go down any path, right? Like if you ask me, hey, what scripture should I read? What spiritual text should I read? I would say whatever you're called to. Whatever you're called to is what I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to point you down a certain path or say, don't go down that path, right? I believe all paths lead to the infinite. There's infinite paths to get to the infinite. That's why it's infinite. Okay. But these days, I still have that burning desire to learn more about things, but I'm not interested in anything that assumes to take power from me. Right? That's it. Exactly. Yeah, nothing is wrong, nothing is right. It's what you choose to focus on. It's just choose and focus on. We can even put it simpler than that, right? Because focus implies work to me when I hear it. And of course, I can only speak from my perception. I'm not saying that's what you meant. But I just want to be clear when I'm speaking it. When I say focus, I don't mean work on trying, right? I simply mean deciding or choosing who you are, right? It's picking an identity. That's it. Bottom line, I choose the identity. It's a wrap. It's done. That is the truth of reality now. I have chosen it, right? So it's that level of conviction. Now, what I focus on after that is just what I focus on. I can focus on work. I can focus on, the market. I can focus on reading. I can focus on taking a nap. It's all going to unfold perfectly because I've already decided. Is fasting necessary? No, it's not. There's nothing necessary except for your knowing of who you are, right? And I used to put so much power on certain things, right? I would put power on fasting, on retention, celibacy, meditation, affirmations, visualization, scripting, journaling, all these things. But really, I was the power the whole time. I was just giving myself permission to experience my power through those things. There's nothing that you can do right now to get closer to God, because God never left. Getting closer to God would imply that you are not it. And there's nothing that you can do to fall from God's grace, because that would imply there's somewhere for God to go, but God is omnipresent. So can't go anywhere. Too bad you're stuck, right? So you just are what you desire to be right now. If I want to take on the identity and decide that if I do a certain thing over time, I'll be more magnetic, then guess what? That's what it'll be. But I can also just make the choice that no matter what, no matter how I feel, I just am magnetic. It's very free, right? Stepping into your power is absolutely free. When you realize and accept, not even realize, when you accept that you are your destiny, like you are destiny, you are divine timing, you are the miracle, you are the blessing, you are the truth, you are the beginning and the end, right? You start really enjoying life in a different way. But it's about acceptance, right? It's about you making that choice and stepping in to that reality that you desire. There we go, Prish. The triplets are in the house. The LOA triplets. The limitless triplets. So what about those that have alter reality among us, shaping this world as we know it? All right. It's still about you giving power to anything, right? So whatever's happening out there is happening, right? Let's take politics. Two people can live in the same house, roommates, right? One can believe that the president sucks. The other one can love them. One can think the economy is terrible. The other one can think the economy has nothing to do with me because I just am prosperity, right? They can take two different perspectives on life and experience two different realities while living in the same house. So it's not about the situation. It's about your perception of yourself. It's about your acceptance of what can control you in your reality. So let me talk about, let's say it like this. You have the absolute ability to create peace in the world. But your world is only your world. You can walk through your life, right? Because you don't travel to every single part of this continent, but you can make the choice that everywhere that your foot steps, you receive peace. The environment is peaceful. Love flows. Prosperity meets you and greets you like its best friend. You can make that decision. Now, can you stop certain things happening across the world? Well, I would give you what could seem like a bitter, but it's also a reality creation kind of question, right? Could seem like a tough question. If a tree falls in the middle of nowhere, okay, no one's there to see it, does it make a sound? Well, quantum physics would say no, because there is no tree. Tree doesn't exist. By you perceiving suffering going on across the world in a place you've never been. Now, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. Okay? I am not pushing on whether this is right or wrong, simply giving a perspective, okay? Does you focusing on someone else's suffering across the world actually help them? Or does it hurt them? Let me give you another example, all right? Like I told y'all, okay, about 2.5 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with lung cancer, stage 4, 5-inch tumor, okay? 5-inch tumor in her lungs, right? And although she was complaining about it, I decided to see her as perfect, as healed, right? The first doctors, they told her she's got a couple months. She's got a couple months to live. She won't make it, right? But eventually, the perfect unfolding of events happened to where now she's cancer-free. We found out maybe 2 months ago, okay? She's absolutely cancer-free. Now, that tumor had to dissolve for me being able to see her as perfect. Now, If I simply chose to see her as suffering, in pain, as something that could not be overcome, would I have helped her or hurt her? I'm trying to push you into your power. No one in your reality has free will. That means no one. So by me focusing and saying this person is just suffering, this person is suffering, this person is suffering, this person is suffering, is that helping or hurting them? Well, you can make an argument that it's hurting them. By me choosing to look at this person who doesn't have a job and say, bro, damn, the economy's so terrible. I just know that they're going to mess up. I know they're not going to get anything. I know that nothing is going to work out for them because of this economy. They need to do this or else all else will fall apart for them. Is that helping them or hurting them? Well, I guess it depends on what you define as helping. If them being jobless and everything falling apart because that's what you expected happens, and you believe that's going to teach them a lesson, well, I guess that could be helping them in your perspective, right? I would argue that that's hurting them. I would argue that me seeing anybody as less than perfect hurts them. Me focusing on somebody else's suffering, I would argue that hurts them. I would argue that I'm a creator, not just on a micro level, but also in a macro level. I would say that there are certain things that you might see on TV, but you don't even know if it's true. But if so many people focus on it, this is the collective consciousness experience, right? Is that as a collective, we have a vision of the world that we all hold in our consciousness. And because of that vision, we are pulled into the future by that vision. That's it. We're pulled into the future by that vision. Now, if a whole bunch of people just see suffering in this place, what is going to happen is you have a whole bunch of people that just accept this is just how it's going to be over there forever. What does that do for that place? Yeah, if you view it as no judgment, of course, it's no judgment. All right? But if you have a whole bunch of people that are just simply seeing it as judgment, is that helping or hurting that place? You're destroying that place. So even our focus on suffering, does it help anyone? Many people, right? And this is, of course, a perspective on consciousness, on reality creation. Okay? I'm not trying to push you to thinking that something is, the absolute right or wrong. Just a perspective, okay? Many people will tell you that the world is imperfect and there's so much suffering, but they've never actually experienced any of that. They've only seen it on TV. They've only read it on the newspaper. And because they have accepted that this is how the world is, it bleeds into their own personal reality. And now they think that, oh man, everybody is going to be acting crazy because of this. Because this event happened, the world's going to be acting crazy and people are going to be cutting me off and people are going to be rude. And those things start happening. And they start seeing through the lens of suffering. Which is unfortunate. Because you get to choose how you're going to experience your reality. Okay? You are saying God doesn't. You must have said something before that. Everything exists everywhere because of God's presence. If you are saying the tree doesn't exist, you're not understanding what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying. You're looking at God like it's a separate entity when it's not. God just is. Okay, we're talking about, look, you in your reality are what? You in your reality, you are the eyes of God. Okay? What you're trying to argue is that God is some separate entity. All right? And all exists within the mind of God. That God, it all does exist in the mind of God, but in your reality, you are the eyes of God. Nothing exists without your consciousness. You are the eyes of God in your reality. Okay? So this is the point that I'm making. Yeah, it's a completely different school of thought. Yeah, life is happening from you. Life is happening. It's unfolding from you. What you're saying is not wrong, but I don't. That's not how I perceive it. I don't see God as a separate being. I'm finna wrap it up soon though. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Whoever I just invited. My bad. Of course, on YouTube. So on the business, please elaborate more. You said just knowing it will work out, just because it's you and everything you do works out. Best case scenario, business is booming. Just starting a new business. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. You accept the fact, okay, not the feeling, but the fact that everything just works out. You accept the fact that your prosperity is incoming. Now, whether you want to make it a general knowing, because in my life, prosperity is a general knowing. I could start a business. It's not about that business failing or succeeding, right? It's about me being the prosperity. Therefore, money just finds different portals to show up. Why I take that approach is because in my mind, I don't believe in making anything conditional. So if I believe that this business for me to be prosperity, this business has to be successful because it is the gate of my prosperity. To me, that's making it conditional. Now, it doesn't mean that to you it's making it conditional, but to me it would be. So I choose to have a more general approach, which allows me to just focus on the business, knowing that whatever happens is going to be perfect. So I can work hard. I can do whatever. I can do this. I can do that. I simply do what the next best step is, knowing that because I'm prosperity, everything flows to me perfectly no matter what. Now, if you want to make the business 100% successful no matter what, then you go to that assumption. This business is absolutely prosperous no matter what. No matter what. No matter what I see, no matter what's going on, no matter the challenges, it just is what it is. And that's going to be the truth. So now when you put on the truth glasses, right, you take off the delusion, right? Because the delusion is thinking it's not going to work out. Delusion is saying, oh, God's not good. Delusion is saying, oh, I'm not God, right? It's just not going to work out. That's absolutely delusional. It's ridiculous, right? But when you actually put on the truth glasses and you remember who you are and you say it's all working out perfectly, because it must, because I am. It's really that simple. It's you deciding that the money that flows from this, the opportunities that flow from this will support me no matter what. That's it. You got this. You got this. My goodness, y'all. My goodness. Coffee was good as hell. So you don't know if your business is inspired action or not. You are inspired action. Take the focus off of what you do within your business and judging it as right and wrong, and take that and put it on you. I no longer judge what I do in that business as right or wrong. I judge myself as right. Therefore, everything I do becomes an extension of that rightness, right? From the knowing of who I am, it's all inspired action. From the forgetting of who I am, now I'm trying to figure out if it's inspired action or not. Because I believe I have to do something. I have to do something to be what I've always been. But you don't. You simply have to accept the truth. You are already that what you desire to be. Boom. That's the magic switch. Take the pressure off of what you're doing. What you're doing just is what it is. It's an extension of you. You are divine timing. You are God. You are right. You are always in alignment. Therefore, everything that you do as an extension is always right. It's always on time. It's always in alignment. Like, take the pressure off of the next thing that you do. Just focus on whatever I do now is perfect because I am. And stop and don't don't make it conditional. I have to do these things to get prosperity. And it's a very subtle shift. It's I am prosperity and I'm going to do all these things versus I gotta go. I gotta go help my mom. She just sent me a text. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get off of here. All right, but to wrap that thought up, you just are prosperity. Okay, you just are prosperity. Decide you are prosperity. Now everything that you do it from that identity. Love y'all.